Sarah, are you nude?
I am not nude for anyone at home who wants to know, and I will prove that I am not nude in just a moment.
Walk out of the ocean? I just want to make sure.
I walked in out of the ocean, and I don't know any English. I'm actually speaking Mer right now.
Everyone freaked out because they've never seen a nude woman before.
They lost it. Like, lost their minds. It was insanity.
It was like a stampede.
Pandemonium.
Welcome to the Feminine Mistake Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Nicole.
I'm your other host, Sarah.
And today on the show, we have improviser, performer, Ray, joining us today on the show.
Ray, thank
you for being here.
Thank you.
Of course.
I miss you.
I miss you guys too. I really do.
It's such a good excuse to hang out, you know?
I know. No. I'll take any excuse, honestly.
Yes. Cool. So we're going to be discussing the film Splash today. Splash. Sarah, what year was this movie made?
1984.
1984. That was the same year Gremlins came out. I don't know why I thought of both of those things, but maybe there was a lot of fantasy/monster movies coming out.
You have to get them wet. You can't get them wet.
You can't get them wet, but this mermaid.
You shouldn't get wet, or she will turn into a mermaid on land.
It's true. I was really impressed that she knew how to use a hairdryer. I don't know about you guys, but I was like,
the things.
I was impressed that she could turn on the bath and know how to which knobs and.
Yeah, she figured a lot out. Very selective.
There was a lot she learned on that 6 hours of television that she watched.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about Splash today. This is a film I've wanted to talk about on the show for a while.
All right.
But before we do, I would love to talk to you ladies about what you've been watching. What have you guys been watching lately? Anybody? Fabrae, you want to go first?
Sure. Okay, so just recently, I'm a big anime nerd.
You have a beautiful, by the way, those of you guys who are listening to the show and not, you can watch our vidcast if you're interested. It's on Critical Crop Top's YouTube channel. And Ray has a beautiful array of art behind her.
Yes, thank you. A lot of anime stuff. So I just watched Mugen Train. It's a Demon Slayer, Demon Slayer's first movie, which is a new-ish anime, and it's really good. I enjoyed it. So
excellent. That's great. Where is that available? So
we saw it in theaters it was social distance though,
and you had were masks and
masks.
Yeah,
masked up and everything. So right now it's only in theaters.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. How was that the first movie you had seen in a while in the theater?
Yes. Yeah, that was the first movie we have seen in theaters in all of 2021 and really 2020 as well. So
it's been a while.
It's been over a year.
How did it feel going back to a theater? I miss it a lot.
I'm so antisocial. So I was thriving under that environment, not having to sit that close to strangers.
This is great. I want people to be away from me all the time.
Yeah. It's like, if no one could ever talk to me and be next to me and share an armrest with me, that would be wonderful.
Oh yeah. I can't imagine sharing an armrest with a stranger at this point.
It's the worst. We were living in pandemonium before.
It's crazy. In films that I watch now, when I see people walking up to someone and just hugging them or kissing them or shaking their hand or getting in their face, I'm just like,
how about people eating from the same chip bowl?
Yeah, I'm just like,
you know what I'm saying? Oof.
Yeah.
I can't.
It was the Wild West before.
It was.
It really was. Well, thank you for that recommendation. And I think that, as people are getting vaccinated and, all that stuff, I think that I hope to also return to a theater sometime soon. I'd miss it a lot. I miss the experience of going to a theater. So,
I think I'm okay without it. I think
Sarah, I thought we were going to go see Gucci together.
We can see, I like being with you, Nicole, but going to a theater is not my favorite because I don't like being around people that much.
Sure.
I mean, I like being around them, but not strangers. I guess I like being around my friends.
I do too, but I miss the experience of a theater, now that it's been taken away from me. But also I like the unexpectedness of being in a theater and responding to something honestly with a group of strangers. There's something about that I really love. Like, I feel like the audience energy feeds off of itself if you're in a good audience. Like, I feel like, especially going to see something that you're really excited about, or if you go see something that's really terrible and everybody openly hates it, that's also its own kind of experience. But yeah,
I just don't want to experience anyone else.
You don't want to experience other people.
Fair. That's fair.
It is fair.
I mean, I'm just looking forward to watching movies with my friends at this point. And
I love trailers. I think that was the thing that I had missed and didn't realize that I had missed. Just watching a cinematic trailer in a theater was really fun. So that was cool too.
Yeah, sure. I'd say that is probably the best part.
Yeah.
Sarah, what have you been watching?
So the strangest thing that I've watched recently
The strangest thing,
yes, is The Lighthouse.
Oh, I like The Lighthouse.
Robert Pattinson and what's his face?
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe.
Yes. Willem.
And it was batshit. Like,
like in a good way?
In a like
would I like it?
It's weird. Yes.
It's a weird movie.
You would think it was weird.
Yeah. Well, I like weird.
But it's like a thriller type thing, but it's based on, well, I'm not going to tell you what it's based on because I want you to kind of figure that out for yourself. So I guess that's not a good thing to discuss, but I think you should see it. It's basically based on a couple of characters.
It's a character study.
Yes. Mythical characters.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like a without I don't know what to say about it.
Yeah.
Just watch it.
I appreciate the choices that Robert Pattinson has made as an actor.
Yes.
Post Twilight. Also, sidebar. If I haven't watched the Twilight commentary, but apparently Robert Pattinson's commentary on the commentary track of Twilight is something to behold.
I've heard that. Yeah,
I've heard that it's fantastic as well. Because Robert Pattinson genuinely hates Twilight.
Yeah, he openly mocks the movie and his performance.
Yeah.
Aww.
Well, but not I don't think he's mocking the director. I think he's just mocking how serious, has characters broodiness. It's more it's in good fun. I don't think he's fuck this movie. It's just where he's mostly making fun of his own performance, I think.
Yeah, it's very melodramatic, and I think that that's what he's kind of playing on, how serious the movie took itself.
Yes.
Well, in The Lighthouse, both Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson disappear into their roles.
Wow.
Unrecognizable. I couldn't, they seemed like completely different people.
I don't know if this is the right place to discuss this, but I have heard that, because I listened to another podcast called How Did This Get Made, which is where they watch really bad movies, and they watched what was that movie? It's this movie with Madonna and Willem Dafoe, and it's one of those, remember in the 80s they had all of those sexy thrillers that was all about a woman having sex and killing men. Anybody?
Yes,
Sliver, Basic Instinct,
Glenn Close movie,
Fatal Attraction, all that. Anyway, apparently Willem Dafoe has an enormous dick. He's so big. Okay, so you know what I'm talking about.
I've heard that. I've heard it because of Nymphomaniac.
Right. And they didn't want they didn't want his. They had to get. I heard they had to get a stunt dick because his was so big. It was upsetting.
It was to the point where they didn't believe that it didn't look realistic. So they got,
were this looks like a fake dick. We got to get another dick in here.
They got a dick double there. Oh, because Willem Dafoe has an enormous, distractingly large penis.
Distractingly large penis.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just every time someone says his name, Willem Dafoe, that's all I can think about.
Yeah,
Willem Big Dick Dafoe.
Yeah,
I can't imagine. And from what I understand about it, it's not necessarily attractive. It's more grotesque.
Yeah, it's upsetting.
Yeah,
is how it's been described.
Yeah, people aren't saying it in a Adonis type of way.
No.
It's very much
is he short?
Creeped out.
He might be short.
I don't know. I think he's a normal size. It's just he has a monster dong, monstrous.
Yeah, I have a friend in high school who said that guys like that, they call them tripods.
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
I know.
I don't know how to segue out of that, but I've been watching, or have been, it's over now and I'm not going to spoil it. But I have been watching Falcon and Winter Soldier, which I've talked about on the show I think before. But I've been watching Falcon and Winter Soldier, or is it The Falcon and the Winter Soldier? I don't know. On the Disney Plus. That's what I've been watching.
The Disney Plus.
The Disney Plus. And it just wrapped up. I think last time we talked, I had seen the first 2 episodes, and now I've seen the whole thing. It was 6 episodes, and I can say highly recommend. I've never really been into the Captain America storyline, because it's like, it's like good guys, bad guys. It seems very black and white, and that's like doesn't usually interest me. But this show actually really surprised me. I thought it was going to be a fun blow 'em up show in between WandaVision and Loki, where it would be kind of like my appetizer, and I think I said that last time, where it surprised me with actually how good the show got. It actually explored the like America and what America thinks it is and what America actually is, and the morally gray area, and like Anthony Mackie's so good, and like Sebastian Stan is so good, and I'm Nemo, or not Nemo, Zemo. We were joking about they should call the show Finding Zemo, but anyway, that's a whole other topic. My sister and I, who was watching it with me, Zemo's so good. Anyway, honestly, the only character I thought they really bunged up was Sharon Carter, who I honestly didn't really give a shit about to begin with. But the writing of that character, and there was this big reveal in quotations. It was not a reveal in any sense of the word, but because everybody was like, duh. Anyway, there's a big reveal about her in the finale, which was like, anyway, the writing of her character was boring and sloppy and poorly handled, but everything else was really, really good. And it touched on some really relevant topics, and so I would say, and it was certainly fun, and there was a lot of great action. So if we're looking for that and you're like, I don't want something that makes me think, well, too bad. It makes you think, but it also has really great action scenes, so you get both. So I can highly recommend Falcon and Winter Soldier, and they stuck the landing. The finale was really great, so
awesome.
Recommend that one. All right, so shall we get into talking about this movie?
Let's.
Well, before we do, ladies, have you heard of Splash before? Had you seen it? What were your preconceived notions, or was this brand new for you? Let's start with our guest, Ray.
So I was always conscious of this movie's existence. I hadn't seen it ever. I was going to say because it was kind of like before my time, because I was born in the 90s.
Yes.
But I've seen old movies, but for just some reason, Splash had never really hit my radar. But I was really intrigued that you guys wanted to watch it, because I knew I had heard about it partially from, and we were talking about this.
Yes.
A YouTube video that was talking about Born Sexy yesterday.
Yes, and we're going to get into that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was just kind of my experience with it, and I'm glad that I saw it.
Yeah, now you can really sort of, I guess contextualize that. At least the clips from that video. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. What about you, Sarah?
Well, I also was born after this film came out, and I had always heard about it. And I think what I heard about it from my mom was that it was bad. My mom thought a lot of the 80s comedies were just like, they're not great films.
I would say they're problematic, especially when viewed through today's lens, in a lot of ways. Yeah.
But but she showed me Big, which is another Tom Hanks 80s film that I love, and we should definitely watch for the show.
We definitely should.
But like, why did she like Big and not Splash? I don't know.
Question.
But all I know is that that's what I heard, so I was like, okay, fine, I'm not gonna watch. So
I'm interested to hear when we get there what you actually think of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So didn't watch it until now because mom said it was bad. Cool.
Don't tell her I said that.
I won't. I won't tell her. Tell your dad not to tell her, because I don't know if he's still listening to our show, but at one time he was. Okay. So I did grow up in the 80s. I was very young when this came out. I was like 4, I think, 4 or 5 when this came out. So I didn't see it in the theater or anything.
Just kidding.
I was, yeah. But it was on TV a lot when I was a kid. And Tom Hanks and John Candy and Eugene Levy were like my comedy heroes. So I watched this movie a lot.
What about Daryl Hannah?
I thought she was very good in this movie. She was very good in this movie, but I was, big. I was a big
she was
comedy
not a comedy
fan.
hero.
Well, she, I don't think her purpose in this movie is to be funny, although she had some funny moments.
Yeah.
But I was a big fan of SCTV, which was the Canadian. Not to say that everything has to revolve around America, but the Canadian-ish Saturday Night Live, So I was a big fan of that, and of course, I saw Tom Hanks in a lot of movies in the 80s, as most of us did. But those were the big draw for me. I'm not going to say that. I'm just being honest about, as a child, what I was drawn to about this movie. Although I think Daryl Hannah is great, and I thought she was good in this movie. But I watched this a bunch. I loved this movie a lot. I think there's a lot of stuff in here that I didn't see as a child, obviously. So looking at it now as an adult, there's a lot of, as we tend to do on this show with some of the movies I watched as a kid, we kind of see it in a new light. And I definitely did see it in a new light. But yeah, as a kid, saw it a bunch of times. Loved it. Wanted to be a mermaid. So I guess I'll say that about Daryl Hannah. Even though she wasn't specifically the draw for me, the mermaid part of it was. I used to pretend to be a mermaid.
Yeah.
Little Mermaid came out when I was a kid as well. So
it came out when you were like 9 or something? 9
it was
10?
in the 90s.
It was
89 maybe? Okay.
Yeah, it was late 80s. So it's the beginning of Renaissance Disney.
Yeah, so I would have been 10 when The Little Mermaid came out.
Mm-hmm.
Which this is very similar, I think, to the plot of
there's
Little Mermaid.
There
scene. Is a lot of parallels.
There's a scene that reminds me of The Little Mermaid, but I was like, this came before.
Yeah. And I'm sure that they
OG
probably drew from
Little Mermaid.
OG Little Mermaid. Yeah, Daryl Hannah was the OG Little Mermaid, I think. Yeah, so that's it. That's all. That's our all of our experiences with this film, Splash, prior to the podcast. So let's get into talking about this movie.
The house is a mess, Jack. The kids are a mess, Jack. You're a mess, Jack.
You have been a total bitch ever since you came to New York.
You seem sort of distant.
Let's just do it, huh?
You look stupid and rich. Stupid and rich.
Fascist.
All right, let's get into it.
All right, Splash, 1984, directed by Ron Howard.
Oh yes, Ron Howard. A Ron Howard film.
Yep. Anybody catch the Clint Howard cameo? Clint Howard, Ron Howard's brother, always
I don't know who that
cameos.
Don't know who that is. Yeah.
You would if I showed you a bunch of pictures of him. He's in every Ron Howard movie. His cameo was at the wedding when the guy who comes in and is like, it's kind of the last straw for Alan, and Alan just yells at him. Alan yells, "She left me." He's yelling at Clint Howard.
That's Ron Howard's brother?
Yeah, and then the funny thing is also John Candy says to
yes, is the bride's brother.
That's the bride's brother, and that's actually Clint Howard, Ron Howard's brother.
God.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I do actually remember that.
Yeah. Okay. So, wow. So much to talk about here. Like, so much. I have so many notes. Sarah, why don't we start with where would you like to start? And Fabrae, or you just jump in whenever you feel like, or if you have something you want to talk about, feel free. But we just kind of go around. We just kind of go back and forth here.
Yeah, my universal thought is very simply, it doesn't take a lot of time. Alan is a piece of shit.
Ooh.
I hate Alan.
Wow.
Actually.
Oh my God. I'd love to hear about that.
We'll circle back, but that's my
I think let's start there. I don't see how we cannot. So Alan is played by Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
So let's start with Alan. Tell us why you think that Alan is
Alan, I just think shit. Okay, so I think he's a piece of shit. First of all, I will say I had not seen a young Tom Hanks. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't expecting him to be hot.
He's hot.
It was in a weird way.
Yes.
He was, yeah. So I was like, okay,
I agree.
Because I know you as Woody. That was my first introduction to you.
Yeah.
So
he's big sexy in this movie. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no,
I'm just
absolutely.
gonna say it.
My
not gonna fight you
Hanks
on
was
that.
Forrest Gump.
Oh yes, Forrest Gump. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, Forrest Gump, I guess, was my introduction. But okay, so I think Alan's a piece of shit. Why? Because I feel like I don't know. What really kind of did it for me, there was little things throughout. It never really seemed like it was like he was just down to bang her without even knowing if she, because you could tell there was something off about her, right? And if we're landing this in reality, you would probably think that maybe she was a little bit mentally ill, or maybe she has some sort of delay.
No one questions a lot about this movie. Yeah.
No one kind of questions that. It's weird to me. He's totally cool with just like banging her out like 2 or 3 times before even knowing her name.
Who she is.
Yeah, knowing who she is.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucks. But then also at the climactic scene, which we don't have to get too much into right now if we don't want to, but
we should circle back to that.
We can circle back to the specifics, but he kind of did nothing. And
I let's put a pin in that. I want to talk about that very much, and I agree. I agree, but I'm going to take a different route and say that seemed very out of character to me, that he did nothing. That seemed out of character given everything else to me.
Yeah.
I thought it was a flaw in the writing to me.
Okay. We can talk about it, but I don't know.
I think everything you're saying is absolutely, I totally get it. I mean, yes, he doesn't question. He doesn't want to know where she's from, really.
He doesn't do anything for her.
Huh?
He doesn't do anything for her.
No, he does nothing for her.
He doesn't take care of her. He's like, you can stay at my place, but like that's it.
He did make her a big breakfast, you guys. I don't know if you saw that big French toast breakfast he made, but
at 4 p.m. in the afternoon.
Well, they did fuck a lot on the refrigerator, apparently.
On top of the refrigerator.
Why do you want to go on top? I don't know. On top of the refrigerator seems like a weird place, but okay, sure.
Nothing that I would want.
I'm gonna wrap that up in the package of men definitely wrote this movie. Like, no one wants to do it on top of the refrigerator unless maybe it's a mini fridge. We didn't consider that. It might have been a mini fridge.
Bend you over the mini fridge.
Could have been a mini fridge. If it was a mini fridge, that makes sense.
Because the angle
might work.
That does sound like it works.
Yeah. Sarah, what do you think of Alan?
I initially, like, the words piece of shit did not cross my mind, but I do not care for him. I think that he is not the worst person, but he's also not a great person.
He's not Freddie.
Yeah,
Bar's pretty low there.
No.
Yeah, I was like, we can't all be Freddie.
Yeah. But so yeah, I would agree with Fabrae that he didn't do enough for her, and he also didn't save her when she needed help. I think it was actually
that was strange.
His brother who ended up saving her, or like who?
We'll get there. We'll get there. But yes. Okay. So here's what I'll say. So first of all, just to like do a little very brief recap of what this is about. We've got Alan, played by Tom Hanks, his brother Freddie, played by John Candy. They own some kind of fruit shipping business or something,
like a produce business.
They work at the docks or something. Which I feel like there could have been something to do with the mermaid in the docks, and I'm not really sure why we didn't get any scenes there, but whatever. Not going to question that too deeply. And Alan seems to be not able to commit.
Victoria.
He's never fallen in love before, but he wants to fall in love, and so he falls off of a boat in not Montauk, Cape Cod. Right?
Cape Cod. But did he fall or did he jump? Because
he tries to get the motor going and it knocks him off the boat and then he gets hit in the head. Seems like maybe he could have shifted a little bit.
Are we talking about when he's a kid?
Well, he initially meets her as a kid, right? He jumps off the boat, which, to be honest, I can't say I blame him. You know, I would have jumped off of that boat too if I was little. I mean, his dad's a dick. Like, let's just say, like,
dad was a dick. Absolutely.
60s parenting for the win, right? I mean, like, we'll get to Freddie in a minute, but Freddie is dropping coins and looking up ladies' skirts, and his dad just smacks him over the head. No conversation about consent here.
No.
Anyway, his dad seems like a dick. The party's boring. He jumps overboard. This is in the flashback at the beginning of the movie, and that's when he meets the mermaid for the first time. And then later again, she rescues him because he can't swim, and then she decides to find him in New York, right? So that's kind of the setup, right? And then they fall in love or something. Anyway, so Alan, here's what I'll say about Alan. I think now's a good time to talk about Born Sexy Yesterday. Okay. So Born Sexy Yesterday is a video that Ray referred to at the beginning of the podcast, which is a video on YouTube. You can look it up. I'm sorry, I did not look up the name of the YouTuber who did this video, but you can just
Pop Culture Detective.
Pop Culture Detective. Thank you. So the idea of Born Sexy Yesterday is this whole trope of like innocent, and I'm quoted in quotations, innocent, childlike female characters that are usually in some sort of sci-fi or fantasy setting, that a male character will fall in love with, and because she's innocent and needs to be taught everything about the world and is sexually inexperienced and all of that stuff.
Yeah, what is the quote he uses? He's like, something childlike and unimaginably wise.
Yes, wise but childlike. Yes, yeah. Available, enamored with the male character, all of those things. So the examples were the Tron remake, Splash, Fifth Element, which is big time, that
big
trope.
Big.
I think you could put Ex Machina in that category until the ending.
It's a subversion of that, which I actually love.
It plays on the idea that we think she's Born Sexy Yesterday when really she's manipulating everything, which I think is really great. I was actually trying to think in my head if there were any examples of men in this trope.
Big.
George of the Jungle.
Big. George of the Jungle. I think you could put Making Mr. Right in this category. Where I
haven't seen that.
Well, that's a film we did. That was last season, right?
Yeah.
And it's John Malkovich, and he's a robot, and a woman falls in love with him, but he's like, basically it's the same idea. But Born Sexy Yesterday is you've got this enticing, fully adult grown woman who has kind of the mind of a child almost. That's the idea.
And the men in her life are it's the first man she's ever encountered. It's
that's true.
Yeah. So he is the best by default.
By default, yes. Here's why I don't hate Alan, and here's why I think that of this trope, this is the least offensive to me. And this is just my opinion. First of all, they cast Tom Hanks, who's super likable and sweet and earnest. And I think that if this had been played by someone else, like, I don't know, you put Jack Nicholson in this role or something.
Oh, God.
What a creep. I mean, I'm not saying anybody would, but I'm just saying I'm just using him as an example.
Yeah,
you put a different actor in this role, and Alan is a total creep.
See, the thing is, I think he is Tom Hanks is not a creep, but I think he's a creep.
Fair.
Yeah.
Totally fair. I'm saying Tom Hanks plays him
the least
earnestly
of a creep.
Yes.
Like, he is the least creepy creep. But he's
still checking in with her. But I'm saying, like, he said he's like gonna put her up in a hotel. I don't know. It's like he plays it earnestly. He doesn't play it in a way that seems lecherous and creepy to me. But his acting helps. I know, but this is my opinion.
Yeah, it is. It's totally valid. No, I see where you're coming from. I really do.
His performance makes it for me not as creepy as it could be.
And Nicole, it's not about what you say, it's about what you do.
Sure, but let me put this in a different way. Here's why I think that of this trope, and this does fall in that trope, why it's less offensive to me than, say, The Fifth Element. Because in The Fifth Element, she's like a literal baby, like she was just born. Okay, and then just born in a full-grown woman's body, but just born. So she is literally a baby in The Fifth Element mentally. Madison, the mermaid, comes to the land looking for dick. Like she has
looking for him.
She is a human
Looking
man.
for him.
knows
Yeah.
She has
who
a
he
man
is.
kink. This woman wants 2 legs and a dick between it, and she came on land for that. She kisses him right away. Hear me out. She came here. He didn't have to convince her to sleep with him.
Yes, what I'm
She
saying.
came wanting to sleep with him, and
Yes,
her
him.
wanting to do that, her agency of that
Mhm.
makes this less creepy for me, because she came here going, I want to fuck this human man.
Yes.
And to me, this is my opinion.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I'm saying I agree with you, and she didn't want dick. She wanted his dick. Like she wanted
his
him
dick specifically.
specifically.
Yes. But that's what I mean. Like she chose that. She didn't get picked up by a fishing boat and he rescued her.
Yeah.
He didn't stumble across her on the beach and then convince her to go home with him.
Yeah. She sought him out.
Got his wallet, went into a shipwreck, found a map of New York City.
Well, okay.
Walked her ass to New York and came looking for him. So I'm just saying, like, her like agency in this, and I'm not trying to convince you guys of anything. Her agency in this makes it less creepy for me.
So
as
she's
a viewer.
manipulating him.
My only note on that, and I totally see where you're coming from,
Yeah.
but if we're comparing it to The Fifth Element,
Mhm.
like Corbin Dallas, like the main
Yes.
character,
Yeah.
and Lilu,
Yeah.
like I don't think that I honestly, if we're talking about this trope, I think Corbin's better because
Okay, please. Go for it.
because he did not, in comparison to Alan,
Mhm.
because Corbin, I mean, he was obviously attracted to her,
Yeah.
to Lilu, like
Yes.
all of the men in the movie.
Yes.
But I never felt like he, like even tried anything with her to my
Mhm.
memory,
Mhm.
until like I didn't even really see a romance between the two of them until
Mhm.
closer to the end,
Sure.
after she kind of had a chance to fully flesh out who she was.
Mhm.
In Alan's case, I feel like, I mean, yes, she did kiss him, so
Mhm.
like there's that. But at the same time, like I feel like she was not a full-fledged person
Mhm.
prior to the sexual relations that they had.
Yeah.
See,
And
I
so-
disagree. I feel like she's had the merman dick and she doesn't want it. She wants something
No,
new.
what I'm saying,
She wants to
to-
devour him like a lobster.
but to him,
I mean,
but for him, he doesn't know who she is.
True,
Yeah.
but that's
She-
not her fault.
she
I mean,
knows-
that's not his fault.
No,
Kinda.
his fault is that he sleeps with her without knowing who she is, without caring that she can talk, that she can think, that she has a personality.
You're all valid points. All valid points.
I think if we're talking about who's the best creep out of the Born Sexy Yesterday, I'm going to put my money on Dallas Corbin, or Corbin Dallas, whatever his name is.
I find him, and I know we're not necessarily, but I
Yeah,
feel like
talking
we're
about that,
we're
yeah.
not necessarily, and I haven't watched this movie in a while, but I feel like Corbin Dallas is more creepy to me because he seems like he treats her like he's intellectually superior throughout the movie.
Yeah, I think you can make an argument for that.
And maybe I just think Bruce Willis is kind of a creep. That
He's
also might
kinda
be my
creepy,
problem.
Yeah.
I think you have a thing for Tom Hanks.
I
and
do.
that's-
This is
Who
Fabrae,
doesn't,
if you go
Fabrae?
back and listen to me try to justify Kurt Russell's actions in Overboard, you'll know
Mhm.
that I have questionable judgment. I'm the first to say it.
Yeah.
I have questionable judgment. If Tom Hanks took me home from the beach, I would go.
Like 80s Tom Hanks or
80s
like
Tom Hanks.
2021? Okay.
You know
Tom
what?
Hanks.
He's still
Any
a,
age Tom
You know what?
Hanks.
He's still a servo fox, and he can get it. Honestly,
I like him way more than his son, Chet.
Let's
so,
not.
yeah.
Let's not. Chet. I like Tom Hanks in spite of Chet. Okay,
Yes.
we're just gonna
his
not.
other one. Who's the other one?
There's
I
a-
like the other one.
There's a good one,
There's
and then
a-
there's
there's
the
a
bad
good
one.
one.
There's a good son and a bad son, but we don't need to.
Either one. But yeah, 80s Tom Hanks is hot. And I agree with you that I don't think anybody else could have carried off
No,
his character. Colin. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Colin Hanks. Yes, he's a cutie. I like Colin.
I like
Hanks.
him.
love
I like
Colin
Colin Hanks. Yes.
Yeah.
He's good. I'm on board with him.
Yeah.
Not with the other one. Anyway, yes, I agree that nobody else could have done it the way that Tom Hanks did it, but
Mhm.
I still think I just find him profoundly creepy and a jerk.
Fair.
And
Fair.
yeah.
He was a jerk in the third act for sure. I agree.
Yeah.
I
When
think
it can't
he is.
count
I
it,
think
he-
the speed at which they fall in love is disturbing, but in keeping with other 80s movies.
in
Oh,
keeping
yeah.
with other movies in general, like this was actually one of my pet peeves when I was a kid.
Mhm.
Was movies in general, like not just this one, not just like 80s movies, but like all movies. The love interests fall in love on sight, on like very superficial chit chat,
Mhm.
and that's it. And there's no like deeper conversations in most films. There aren't those conversations that make you really fall in love with someone. It's just the looks, the charm.
Well, to be fair, like I don't like he's mad later that she lied to him or whatever about being a mermaid, but he doesn't. What? How much is he sharing about himself? Like anyway,
Yeah.
well, I want to circle back to that, but before we do, I want to talk about I want to talk about Freddie, his
Yes,
brother.
let's talk about Freddie.
I feel like we need to talk about Freddie, who is absolutely a creep and written as such. I feel
yes. Mm-hmm. But okay, so can I?
also
all right,
Eugene
real quick.
Levy's character's a creep. Anyway, there's a lot of creeps in this movie, but
Here's the thing that I will say about the character, like the brother.
Mhm.
I think he was purposely written in so that Alan's like actions would seem less creepy by
Yes.
comparison.
fair,
Yes.
fair.
So
I think that's
yeah,
a fair assessment.
because like he was so over the top creepy.
Over the top.
Yeah, that I feel like they were just like, well, see, Alan's the sensitive brother, you know, and
I
it's
mean,
just like,
but
no,
certainly-
he's still weird. He's creepy as well.
They both have some serious issues about women. Like
Yes.
your girlfriend is about to move out of your house, and she says, "Do you love me?" And you say, "I moved in with you, didn't I?" What?
Well, he
What?
doesn't
That-
love her though, but he doesn't
He
love
doesn't.
her
He
Then
doesn't.
Why did
So
you
he
move in
shouldn't-
with her?
because that's what you do.
I
Yeah,
guess
I-
I don't move in with people I don't love. I've only lived with one person, and we're married, and we have 3 children. So I guess
I've had roommates.
I've had roommates. I've had
Yeah.
roommates, but wait.
Yeah.
Ray, are you saying that Victoria was his roommate and he just was very confused about the situation?
I mean, maybe he thought that he just
Listen.
needed an extra roommate, and then she
No.
thought they were in a relationship. Like
And
that's
he's
the only
we have
explanation.
separate bedrooms, Victoria. I don't know what to tell you, but
Yes.
but you do owe me for the rent this month.
I will say that everyone has different views on love and different thresholds and different beliefs about it. And
Fair.
just because like I think one way about love, and that of course if I'm in a relationship with someone, I want to love them. I want
Mhm.
to like, but not everyone is like that. I've met plenty of people who are like, well, that didn't occur to
that
me. It
live
was like,
together though?
yeah, that they
Okay.
were not thinking about love. It was like, we're in a relationship. People have relationships.
I feel
You
like I
know?
would not want to live with somebody if I would have to be in love with them. Otherwise, it would be like, get out of my house, please.
I think I see both sides of it now.
I don't know how you can envelop yourself in someone's farts every night and not love them. You know what I mean?
The only partner that I have lived with is someone, you know, who I'm currently engaged to.
Yes.
So it's like, you know,
Congratulations.
thank you. But yeah, I know what you mean, where you're coming from. But at the same time, I definitely know for a fact that there are people who move in because, oh, we like each other.
Okay,
You
that's
know,
fair.
we want to see more
We're
of
on
each
the
other.
path. We're
So
on the road.
yeah, we're right. So even if they feel like they love each other, there's still different variations of that love, you know, like maybe
Okay.
they love each other to move in, but not
Sure.
enough to tell each other that they love each other, which is
Yeah.
weird to me,
Yeah.
but I can see it.
Yeah, you're right. That's fair. Yeah, I think that's a good assessment of Freddie. I'd like to list off a couple of Freddie's transgressions in this movie.
Please.
Of course, there's the drop the coins under the which I remember very clearly from the movie. That was one of the things that stuck out to me even as a kid. Dropping
And
the
he
coins
still does that as
as
an
an
adult.
adult.
As a grown man at a
Drops
wedding.
coins so he can bend down and look up women's skirts. That is pathological.
Yeah, it's sick.
You
I don't know
have a
what's wrong with you.
sickness.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but at work he has one of those boob mugs, like the mugs that's just like a boob with a nipple on it on his desk.
I didn't see that. No.
I didn't see that
There was a
either.
lot of little production design. I don't know if you guys counted the number of fish tanks in this movie, but there were a lot.
I noticed it in the midpoint of the movie. I was like, there's a lot of fish
He's
tanks.
got a fish tank. There's a
I
fish
didn't
tank at
notice
work.
it.
Tons of fish tanks.
At the
there's
midpoint is what I noticed.
there's a boop mug on Freddy's desk. Did you guys catch what the name of the letter to the editor was that got published in Playboy or Penthouse or whatever?
Lesbian No More or
Lesbian
something
No
like
More,
that.
which I can only
Oh,
imagine
yeah.
means that he wrote a letter about how he
Turned
Yes.
turned
a lesbian into a straight
which
woman.
is the ultimate
Yeah.
Mhm.
bullshit heterosexual bullshit.
I would say it's
fantasy.
very 80s, but it's
Yeah.
not even 80s. It's not even
It's
isolated
still,
to the
I
80s.
wish we could
Yeah.
leave it in the 80s, but I think there are still plenty of men who feel that way. You know, he's a womanizer. He's written as such. Okay. Guys.
But
I
he's
know
hilarious.
I'm supposed to hate Freddy, but I don't.
I don't hate Freddy either.
Don't.
I don't hate him either. John
I hate
Candy
him.
is just too amazing. He's
I
so
know.
funny. I know.
Guys, when he's smoking the cigarette while playing racquetball, I died. Like, it
Yeah.
was just.
I do
Now
not care.
I hate Freddy. I hate the character of Freddy.
He's a
I
great
do.
character, though.
But John Candy is hilarious.
Yes.
And I can't, everything he touches is gold.
This
I
And
know.
is the
so
first
I know.
time I'd seen John Candy in anything, and I
Mhm.
don't think I want to see any more of him.
No, this is not usually the kind of character he plays. This is
No.
actually very against type for him.
you need to see Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, that's a great one.
That's a good one.
I love The Great Outdoors. Spaceballs.
I've seen
Spaceballs is good.
Spaceballs.
Oh, so good. John Candy is like the likable, funny guy, and like he doesn't usually like a womanizer is not usually the type he plays.
Mm-mm.
But I also appreciated that they gave that role to a plus sized man to be the womanizer. I actually appreciated that. Because I think today in Hollywood, they probably would have given that role to like John Hamm or some shit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I appreciated that. In the 80s comedy, they'd let you be flexible if you were a man. Anyway.
Very true. You can be anything.
Yeah, I think this is another case. And again, I attribute this to Ron Howard for casting the right people. He put somebody in that role that if we had a different actor, again, let's say Jack Nicholson was in this role, we would have hated him, right? Even though I love Jack Nicholson, I still would have really hated Freddy. But John Candy makes this really awful person, and like every time he came on screen, I was like happy to see him, even though I know I'm supposed to hate him.
I know, and Sarah hates him anyway, and I get it.
I get it.
I get it. I understand.
So, Sarah, what did you want to say about Freddy?
No, I mean, I just really disliked his character, and the person I watched it with really disliked his character too. It was just like,
awful.
Like,
he's awful.
Caricature.
Yeah.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, he's gambling. He's not taking the business seriously, but
he's lying to people who are interested in the business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he lied about his son, brother being in Vietnam, which was not cool.
I also feel like Alan is not old. Like, I feel like Alan was too young to have been in Nam, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was 1984, and he looks like he's
70s.
What, in his late 20s to me?
20s, yeah. He would have had to been like 16 or so.
I guess technically he could have been in Nam at that age, but
because Vietnam ended in 1973. So
was it 73? Yeah, so
73 is when it ended. Yeah.
Okay, so technically he could have been in,
like when he was 18 or something.
Yeah, well, they sent 18-year-olds over there. That was absolutely what they sent 17-year-olds there. I think the youngest,
with permission, you can have permission.
I think you
parent
could
permission to go.
Yeah, you could have been sent over there at 17.
Gross.
I know, right? Yeah, so Freddy is our counterpoint to Alan, who's supposed to be the good guy, right? I mean, I think that's what his purpose is, right?
Yes.
But also,
absolutely.
He is there, I think, at the end to talk some sense into Alan. And because I couldn't help but like Freddy. I did like the way, I liked that moment of vulnerability. And again, it's John Candy and how good John Candy is. When, I don't want to get too deep into the ending here, but when, they have that conflict where now Alan is like, I don't want to be with this woman because she's a fucking mermaid and she's not human. And Freddy says to him, like, he's like, people fall in love every day. It's not a big deal, that I'm not, like, I hate that happened this way, but whatever. And like Freddy is basically like, people don't fall in love every day. I'll never be as happy as you were for that like 3 days that you were with this woman. And I thought that was like really earnest and I
Mhm.
thought that moment was earned in the movie.
Yeah,
I don't know about you
Mhm.
I
guys,
agree.
but
Yeah,
I agree.
I did like that moment.
and I think it
Yeah.
meant more because that character, you
Yes.
think like this guy likes being kind of a shitty person, but there's a moment where he's like, you see that it comes at a price,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and that price is not being in love and
And
it's
maybe he
not being
is
happy.
shitty because he believes that he could never actually be happy because he doesn't
Right.
feel he deserves it.
Maybe,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, and I think that it's kind of interesting because I projected a lot onto the dad character at the
Mhm.
beginning because we only saw him in one scene, but he kind of seemed, he seems like a piece of shit.
He seems shitty
Maybe
and removed as a parent.
removed as a
Very
parent,
Yeah.
removed,
Very
and kind of it didn't really seem like he really thought or considered the wife at all or the
No,
mother of his
absolutely
children.
not.
So it could have been like that internalized, how siblings can like kind of have the same experience but take two different viewpoints. That's kind of what it seemed like to me. One is just like, well, I'm just going to find love, and the other one is like, love doesn't exist.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's definitely what happened. Like, I mean, his father. Look, if one of my stupid kids fell off a stupid boat, Chris would be in the water immediately. The moment the splash hit, we'd know it was one of our dumb kids. And Chris would be jumping off the boat into the ocean. And I didn't even see his mom was there. I don't remember that dad was removed from that relationship for whatever reason. And I think they did, again, however you feel about how this movie plays out, I think this movie is actually, except for, again, I have a huge problem with the way Alan reacted in that scene, which we'll talk about, where it reveals that she's a mermaid. I had a huge problem with that. But otherwise, I felt like the movie was very well written. I think that we get all we need to know about why Freddie and Alan are kind of messed up about love from meeting his dad for literally like 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I think we get all that we need to know about that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't notice the dad at all.
You didn't notice him?
Not at all.
Interesting.
And I don't know what that says about me, or like I just wasn't like aware of the dad even being there.
Okay. Well,
I was
he
just
certainly didn't
focused on the kids, I guess. It's gone. I'm sorry. You'll have to.
That's
come back
okay.
To me.
Fabrae, do you have? You don't. If you don't have, I didn't want to make sure that in case you did have things you definitely wanted. I didn't want to like
like I said,
anything you wanted to talk about.
My whole thesis is that I just hate Alan, and
That's
I
fair.
think that, and I just did not, and I didn't appreciate. I don't know. I just didn't appreciate the movie trying to make me feel like he was a hero because I didn't feel that way. I felt like, and it's like, and I feel like I have more tangible examples when we get to the midpoint into the end,
for sure.
But for right now, it was just kind of like I just was. Not
so what initially
Alan.
bothered you in the beginning, and we haven't even really talked about their meeting yet, as adults, but
yeah.
And so he gets upset at somebody at the docks is getting married. Victoria's left him, his long-term girlfriend, I guess. Can we stop for a minute and just question, should we have seen Victoria? Was it necessary for us to see her? That entire conversation happens on the phone.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I feel like it's a testament to how much the movie doesn't actually care about female characters.
Right. I was actually going to say that. Yeah, no, that's exactly kind of how I felt about it. She was a kind of a driving force in the movie, but she wasn't a character. And I was very, she was a plot device. And
why didn't we see her at the beginning of the movie? Why didn't we see her leaving him? Why didn't we see that?
Because she doesn't matter.
Exactly.
She doesn't matter.
But we could have seen him get left by her, and I feel like that would have meant something.
Yeah, I remembered what I was going to say. So, there's a scene where Tom Hanks' character talks about love and how he just wants to fall in love.
That was at the bar. Yeah.
Yeah, and how, like, I've thought about it, and like they don't ever have put those words in men's mouths in movies. Like they always have
like that.
A woman who wants love. Like they never feature like men who want love, especially back then.
I actually
that's true.
agree. And I was thinking that very same thing in the bar. Because it wasn't just he said, I want to fall in love. He said, I want to fall in love and get married and have kids. Like he wanted the whole thing. He wanted the whole picket fence, nuclear
spend
family.
the rest of his life with someone.
Yes. And I agree that I don't think that is something that is given to male characters in a movie like this very often.
I agree. And, it's kind of like a testament to that, the fact that you don't see it a lot, that makes me immediately want to question it. And so like, would I question it if it was a woman saying that? Maybe not, because I was like, oh, this is what society expects from us. But my immediate response, or almost immediate response to when he was saying that, was why? Like, why do you want to? Like, why do you want to do that? Because it just never seemed like, because to me, it's kind of like putting the cart before the horse, but it makes sense if someone kind of has like some sort of, brokenness when it comes to like how they view relationships and things. But it's just like, I have this idea and I just need a woman that's going to fit into this pre-made life that I want,
That's fair.
Instead of kind of the other way around. I don't know.
I just wish that it was our society gave permission to men to
desire a family. Yeah, to desire a future like that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, even though he's very good at his job, like the moment he found this woman, he was like not interested in the job. And again, this is also different than the way we see men being portrayed as very career driven and all that.
Come first. Yeah.
Yes, that's true.
And I felt personally, again, obviously I'm shipping Alan a little bit here. So,
it's fine.
Nostalgia.
Take my thoughts here with a grain of salt. But I believed him when he said that. I felt like it was earnest that he said, I want to love someone. I want to spend the rest of my life with them. He said he sees the old couple at the ice skating rink. He's noticed them multiple times, even though we've only seen them the one time. He's noticed them at this rink together, and that's something he wants. He starts talking to Madison at dinner about how many kids he wants to have. Like, these are all things we usually see women do in romantic comedies, if you want to call that what this is. I think it's supposed to be a romantic comedy / fantasy movie.
I'd agree.
Let me posit that he could be both. He could be both earnest and romantic and also a creep.
Sure. I think for sure. I think yeah.
I think those go together pretty nicely. And I think we see a lot of examples of that in reality. So I agree.
And maybe I'm giving it a pass, a little bit more of a pass because of if you look at the levels of him compared to the other men in this movie,
and they did that on purpose, though, is my point.
But what I'm saying is, when this movie came out, and that's why we're looking at it now and looking back on it and saying like what is and isn't weird about it, because we should be looking back on this stuff with a critical lens. But also, like, when this movie came out, nobody would have questioned his motives in this way because he seems like a good guy by the standards of this time period, regardless. And yet, and all these other people, like, nobody would have I'm trying to remember. I don't even think anybody would have thought. I think Freddie probably would have been considered to be, oh, look at this funny guy and his hijinks. I think that we're looking at it. We expect more as women in this time period, as we should. In fact, I think one of the notes I wrote down was, one of the first notes I wrote down was, is this how all men behaved in the 80s?
Because,
yes.
I agree with you. I really don't think that he would have, even John Candy's character would have really been seen as a creep. I think he
much as we think he is. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he probably would have read as a creep to just about everybody, but there's definitely people who are just like, excuse the behavior or even encourage the behavior or just enjoyed seeing it. So, yeah.
I mean, a lot of people in this movie feel entitled to her.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone, even strangers.
Yeah. I mean, the reaction, we joked about this at the beginning, but the reaction to her on the beach, like, have you never seen a nude woman before? This is New York City.
Yeah.
And you're telling me you've never seen a nude woman before?
Not one that looks like Daryl Hannah.
Yeah.
But everybody went ape shit. Like people are like pushing each other over to get to her as if this is the last woman on earth.
And it made me a little bit uncomfortable already. Like when that happened, if we're
Mhm.
like kind of diving into that scene,
Sure.
when she came out of the water and
Mhm.
started walking towards the Statue of Liberty
Mhm.
and everyone saw her, started running towards her, my immediate response was like, what are they going to do to her? Because like there's so much, there's so much energy and like, it was too
Like, are they
too
gonna
much.
It was
touch her?
scary. I was
Yeah, I was
worried.
like-
I was worried for her bodily safety.
Yeah, I was worried
Yes.
for her because I was afraid. I was like, are they exactly, Sarah? Are they going to touch her? Are they going to grope her? Are they going to?
Yeah.
You know, I was really scared for her. I was like, what's
Yeah.
going to happen to her? And then, of course, they're taking pictures, and I heard one of the extras say something along the lines of like, "Oh, are you getting it? Are you getting all of it?" And it's just like like,
And that's
it was
terrible
awful
too.
Yeah.
If we were just walking down the Beltline and a nude woman strolled down, what do you think the reaction would be in Atlanta, GA?
I think it would be a combination. I think some people would just be like, I don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah,
I'm going to
like-
go over here.
Because I
would
feel like
ignore it.
people would be like, that seems weird.
Exactly. They'd just
Yeah.
be like,
But it wouldn't be like
That.
fucking crazy like
there
it
might
was
be
in
like a few
New York
guys
City
over there,
too.
like,
I feel like people would just be like, I mean, I do
Yes.
think people might come bring their
Snap
phones out.
pictures.
Yeah.
I think you would see people coming up to her going like, are you okay? Can
Are
I
you
help
okay?
you?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
the thing is like people just, not only do people not seem to be concerned about anything, and you know what? They're consistent at least. In the world
Yeah.
of this movie, they've decided we don't care. Mermaids exist. Welcome to Plug It Up. This is the part of the show where we talk about the things that we're doing besides this podcast and also that our guests are doing. Ray, would you like to start? What would you like to plug?
You know what? I'll plug two things. I
Nice.
have a YouTube channel.
Excellent.
It's just my name, Fabrae Nicole, where I do a show called Black Famous, where we review, critique, and love on all things Black media, specifically Black movies.
Love it.
So if you care for that, I only have one video up at this time, but the other video is being edited as soon as I finish here. So
nice. So please go
yeah.
subscribe to that.
Please do. Second thing, really quick, I am a part of a Twitch live stream show called Fiasco.
Love
A
it.
Calamity Story.
Yes, I've done that show too.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I'm certainly not an official part, but I do guest star a lot, and
Nice.
I definitely recommend it if you guys like Twitch.
It's a fun show.
It's
So
fun.
Fiasco is an improvised show prompted by the rules of one of those sort of role-playing board games.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling the listeners, so they know. But it changes every time. Like I've been on the show, and it was like a haunted bowling alley one time. There was another where we were scientists in the Antarctic. There was a bunch of different ones that we've done. I can't believe we've never done the show together because I've been on it a lot.
No.
You've been on it a lot, but we've never done it together.
Yeah.
But it's
No,
improvised.
never done it together. It is improvised. The actual game creators of Fiasco,
Mhm.
they have their own show, but they don't have it with improvisers.
Yeah.
So it's a very highly improvisation.
It's basically a whole
Game?
improvised movie. But
Yeah,
with the
it's an
game,
improvised movie.
the game prompts kind of as a starting point. And do you happen to have the information for Fiasco, like what the Twitch channel
handle is?
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Well, you look it up, and I'll keep talking, and we'll circle back to it.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll
Right.
do that.
And do you have any Instagram or anything you want people to follow?
Yeah, my Instagram is The Fabulous Creative,
Nice.
FABLIST, creative, and that is where I'd kind of post updates about the show itself.
Great.
So that's, if you ever want to follow along, that's where you can go.
Nice. All right. Well, you look up at that Twitch. I got a couple things to plug. The Critical Crop Top YouTube channel. So this podcast is produced by Critical Crop Top Media. If you go to Critical Crop Top's YouTube channel, you can watch the vidcast, unless you're already watching it, and if so, hello. But if you're not watching us, you can watch this vidcast on the YouTube channel. You can also find the Adam and Andy podcast vidcast. Which is where Sarah and I watch only Adam Driver and Andy Samberg movies. Did I say Andy Driver? I'm confused.
Mhm.
Adam
do
Driver
it.
and Andy Samberg movies.
Let's
We got a
do it.
vidcast of that. and the Critical Crop Top Sketch Comedy Web Show. New sketches, both Ray and Sarah involved in those. And those are new sketches going up every 2 weeks. I think we're coming to the end of them. We've been putting up new sketches every month since January, every 2 weeks since January. Next month, when this show comes out, I think will be the last 2. But we have all of the other ones up on the channel, as well as sketches from our live show, films, and any other podcasts that we've done.
Don't we have 3 left?
Well, we've got one going up next week, but this will be
Okay.
coming out in May, and that one will
Okay.
already be out. So we've got 3 left. But by the time this show comes out, I think we'll have 2 episodes of the sketch comedy web show left.
Okay.
But you can go back and just burn through all of them.
Binge it.
Burn it. Binge it. Fabrae, did you find the Twitch?
I did. It
Nice.
is twitch.tv/Calamity Fiasco.
Nice. Okay, well, I think that's it for this episode. Come back, my friends. Come back and check out part 2. This is a 2-part discussion on Splash. So come back and check out the second half. Ray will be back on with us to talk about the show or the film that we're talking about this month, which is Splash. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Feminine Mistake Pod, and you can find us on Twitter at Femmistake Pod. Tell us what you thought about Splash. Are you pro Alan or not? Let us know.
Anti-Alan.
Team Alan or not. We've got some strong feelings about that here. And Fabrae, thank you for being on the show. It has been
Fabrae.
a blast to have you on to talk about this weird fucking movie. I guess I'm gonna go take a bath. I'm gonna fill my bathtub with Morton salt. I'm gonna dry myself off with a hairdryer. That's what I'm gonna go do. I don't know about you guys.
I'm
The
going to
only
eat some
logical
scones.
And you're gonna get some scones. Fair.
Yes.